So if you're listening to this, chances are you want to be out of sleep and you want some trance affirmations while you drift off to sleep. So that's what I'm going to do. So it's been a while since I've done one of these. I confess it's mostly due to scheduling. Things got a bit hectic for me. I mean, it's not too crazy to get busy, so to speak, but here we are. It's good to do this though, I kind of miss this. It's cozier, it's quieter. It's nice, honestly. So, I know things are a bit crazy in the trans community as of late. And while I won't say specifics because this is a cozy audio, I do want to let you know that everything will be okay. Wherever in the world you happen to be. The internet's being loud on purpose. I think understanding that's key. The reason it feels like the sky's falling down is because it benefits those with greed to make people believe so. The reason there's headline after headline being more and more outlandish than the last, it's just to give us anxiety. It's a tactic. So, especially in a time like this, I strongly recommend using the internet with intent and consuming what you want to consume. And when you have the energy for it, feel free to help out local trans charities wherever you are, if that's something that you're able to do. But overall, our existence isn't tied to these things, so to speak. We're just who we are, right? If you're listening to this, then in that case, you happen to be trans. Whether a trans guy, trans girl, non-binary, etc., etc. Only to know that you're perfectly valid. And I think it's really wonderful you've taken steps to be yourself. Even if those steps feel small. Even if those steps feel invisible to others. They're still steps. I mean, if you're listening to this, then to some extent you've started to accept yourself, which is good. Whatever conclusion you find, that's good. There's no conclusion you have to be, so to speak. Honestly, even if there's stigma and all sorts of cruel thoughts in the world, there's lots of nice ones too. Yeah. I think the opinion of the average person's rather positive. Honestly, a lot of hate's exaggerated. It makes you think it's bigger than it is, but I don't think the world should be viewed through the lens of what a bunch of really rich people on the internet type on their phones. What do those kind of rich people even do anyway? They message so much that it makes you wonder, or tweet so much or whatever. Do they actually do anything? Or do they sit in a mansion on a chair just to debate people on the internet? That sounds like a terrible way to live. I encourage you to use your time in a way that you find fun, positive, uplifting. Just because you happen to be trans, understand that you don't have a civil duty, so to speak, to be the savior of the trans community. It's easy to feel pressure that you got to do absolutely everything to save it, so to speak. But there are people that have the energy to do that, and people that do an amazing job at that. It's okay if you just want to live your life. You don't owe anyone anything. I think that's important. Now, do whatever you want to do. If you want to help out. But at the end of the day, it's important just to do what makes you happy. when we do all this effort to transition, we do it to get our lives back, so to speak. Once you've transitioned, you can kind of do what you like, right? I'm at a funny crossroads now. I recently have effectively done every single step of transition I wanted to do. And it's easy to feel a bit lost as a result. I'm glad it's done. I'm really happy with the results too. Everything from social transition, medical transition, voice training, surgery, what have you. It's done. And it really made me think that once you've transitioned past tense, you just kind of live your life. I always talked about in audios that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And that is true. But I always said that as someone that was getting closer to that light, so to speak. I didn't expect to actually make it to the end of the tunnel that I always talk about. And it's nice, actually. You can feel the air and you can finally breathe. And something really notable is pointed out to me. It made me really think. Who did I want to be outside of the fact that I'm trans? Being trans is an important part of our life, but it's not all of it. We're trans and various other things. It's just an adjective. And we can use all sorts of adjectives on one person. Countless, honestly. I have thought a lot about who I want to be outside of the fact that I'm trans. And I think through those thoughts, it reminded me that in a very solid sense, we're people, right? Of course we are, but it's interesting to know how much thoughts clear up, I guess. But now with that, I wonder what I'll do. But this isn't really about me. I guess it's about all the lovely people listening. And the truth is, when it comes to all this, your journey, that kind of thing, you gotta be kind to yourself too. Okay? Give yourself space to feel how you feel. Give yourself space to do the things you love. And be you, okay? Whatever stereotypes exist, however stereotypes change, whatever the world says about us, we still exist. We've always existed. We have more documented history of trans people existing way before pretty much any modern religion ever emerged in a way that's documented, right? Transness is fundamentally part of the human experience. Not for every human, so to speak. Some humans experience the thoughts and feelings that lead to us to feel a need to transition. The way transness is expressed is different throughout time. But that core little part of us that makes us trans, well, whatever we label it, I guess, and however we go about it, it's always been there. I think that's kind of cool when you think about it. Whatever a loud spoken person on the internet says, you're still you. And to be honest with you, I think one of the best things you can do as a trans person is live the best life we can. It's a lot harder for people to say bad things about us if we're just being happy, doing our best life possible. the kind of greedy millionaire types that seem to champion hate, they don't seem that happy. At a glance, at least. I don't know if anything can make them happy. Once you have access to so much greed and money, can anything actually make you happy? I don't know. A while ago, when this YouTube channel, well, the main channel, blew up in popularity, the amount of income I made was way higher than I've ever seen in my life for a time. And I don't think that amount of money made me happier. Funny enough. Like, there's a good amount you can make and then live comfortably and still do the things you want to do. But when it becomes excessive relative to who you are, nothing satisfies you anymore. It's a terrifying thing. I admit I'm kind of thankful that my channel's growth slowed down. I kind of miss casually talking to a microphone like this, to be honest. It was a bit simpler. But if I'm helping trans people, I'm happy. Yeah. But at the end of the day, things change, I guess. And I'm sure many things in your life has changed in the last couple of years. Whether it's people you know, the circumstance of the life around you. I'm sure there were good parts, but also bad parts. And I know how much it can hurt when things seem okay, and you push through dysphoria and get complacent, and then realize you're trans, and then everyone seems baffled that you would do it just because you seemed happy before. But seeming happy is different than being happy. You don't owe anyone anything just because pre-transition you seemed like you were doing okay. Only you can feel what's in your heart, or your head, or however that works. Point is, only you know how you feel. If transition's something that you felt like you needed to do, then you needed to do it, you know? It's a choice only you can make, and no one can sway you one way or the other, me included. Just because this is a trans audio doesn't lock you into being trans. You can do what you want. There's a perceived narrative that everyone's trying to force you to be something else. I will argue that chances are you've likely interacted with predominantly cis people. I mean, most people are cis, fair enough. In a sense, that can make us not consider the possibility of being trans. It feels unlikely. Yet, here we are. And there's nothing wrong with being trans. Being trans can be really beautiful, actually. I've had some of my happiest memories related to my transition. Those moments where I could wear a nice wig and makeup at the time and go to the shops with my friends. That was a really beautiful memory. Those moments where I got my name changed and when I managed to make my voice sound like the way I wanted it to after years of not thinking I could. Even if it doesn't look it, there was a long journey for me to get where I am, transition-wise. And social media kind of perpetuates an idea that trans people Just kind of wake up one day and look fully transitioned, sound perfect, and that kind of thing. That couldn't be further from the truth. People only post stuff on the internet when they feel confident. And confidence comes through growth. And that comes through some hard times. Don't feel like you have to adhere to the standards or whatever that the internet perpetuates. Don't feel like you have to live up to a standard of transness or whatever to be allowed to be trans. There's ways I don't fit stereotypes. There's ways you don't. That's fine. There's really nothing wrong with that. We're not better people or whatever, or better, more trans or whatever, just because we tick some boxes that we didn't even draw ourselves. Most of the expectations are just built by others. We can be a bit, what's the word? I think people have a little bit of a bad habit of putting everyone in a box. And boxes aren't very big. It's easy to fit in some parts of the box, and maybe like your foot pokes out of one of them. We're not meant to stay in boxes. Boxes are where we put our things, not people. If there's a part of transition where you feel like you don't adhere to what you're expected to be, just know it's okay. If you've ever Google searched, am I trans if blank? The answer's probably yes. Just think why you're Googling that. What answer are you seeking? Are you hoping to find a random Reddit post, because search engines only work if you type Reddit at the end, but anyway. Are you hoping to find someone that says, hey, I'm trans and I do this thing too? If that's what you're hoping to see, then that's your answer, to be honest. I've seen all sorts of these kind of questions. Can I be trans if I like girls? Can I be trans if I like guys? Can I be trans if I like none at all? Can I be trans if I like motorcycles? Can I be trans if I like swimming? Can I be trans if I have chicken noodle soup in the morning? Like, it gets excessive, but I get it. I did it too. I know it sounds weird now because of how stereotypes have changed, but as a teenager, I used to type, can I be trans if I like video games? Which seems so weird now, right? Because the stereotype is trans people play video games. And by the way, if you don't happen to play video games, congratulations, you can still be trans, don't worry. It's fine. The stereotype used to be we didn't play video games, but again, it changes. If you're stumbling upon this video 10 years later, the stereotypes are probably different again. If that's the case, feel free to comment something and how it changed. Might be interesting for me to look back on. In 10 years. I'll be 35 in 10 years. That's interesting. I wonder what kind of person I'll be then. I hope I'm still doing what I'm doing now. I hope that the numbers going up doesn't get to my head. I fear that a lot. But whatever. Have you, when you've done various parts of transition, do you make sure to remember those moments where there was a happy part? Whether it's the first time you wore a gender affirming outfit. Well, hold on to those tightly, okay? So much of the narrative of transness is so seen in a lens of misery. But why do they? Being trans isn't about being miserable, it's about being happier as the gender you feel more comfortable as. That's all there is to it. When I was really little, I or in a little booklet in lead pencil I wrote, "I wish I was a girl." I like to think I made that 8-year-old proud, because I've done it. It's done. You know? Like, those hard parts, but, the parts I remember most are the happy ones. First time I got to wear a cute dress. First time I went to the shops in girls' clothes. First time I was called my name. First time I traveled and everything. It's meant a lot to me. And it really bothers me how much trans narratives are built around misery. When honestly, even if those hard parts, those good moments, they felt really good. They felt euphoric. No other word for it. Keep being who you are, okay? If you happen to still be awake. Don't give up on who you are, no matter what, okay? I mean that very literally. If you're not hurting anyone, then it's okay. And people being transphobic, that doesn't count as you hurting them. Other people's hate is not you hurting them. It's them only wanting you to conform into their box. And no one wants to be in a box. Otherwise would sit in those. Oh wait, those are cars. Well, other than cars, we don't sit in boxes. Just be you, okay? I know the internet's nuts. I know people are typing all sorts of crazy stuff. And I know every trans influencer literally ever is like fear-mongering the heck out of us. I know that silly right-wing people are doing the same. The internet works in a way where the more outraged, the more addicted we get to our apps. So make sure you consume what you actually want to consume, okay? Like, I get it. I make less money if I tell people to not be addicted to these apps, but it doesn't matter. Some way to do this. If my YouTube money goes down, I'll just get a second job. It's whatever. Right? I'm not going to compromise what this stuff is. Because outrage gets more views, I guess. So when you search trans, it's usually what you find. People being angry. But at every moment, there is a trans person having a wonderful time with people that care about them. And it's not easy. But you know what? Nothing is. If you're thinking, oh, I can't transition because I'm insert age or whatever. Well, in 10 years, you'll be another age, right? Like, time will pass either way. You might as well do it in a way that makes you happier. Nothing's perfect. I'm sure there's things where I'm like, oh, if I transition earlier, this would be easier, whatever. Yeah, sure. I would have liked to have smaller shoulders and be a bit shorter, but whatever, it's done. I still managed to do all this. I've met people of all sorts of ages transition. And yeah, sure, we will say, if only we did it when we were younger or whatever. Well, when you think about it, you might still be saying that in 10 years. But if you do the steps to make yourself happier, well, you might not be saying that in 10 years. In 10 years, you can pretty much do the entire process. It's not perfect. However, as far as the way my life went, I'm pretty happy with the result. The confidence, the growth, the kindness that has emerged within myself. I learned that deep down I had a heart. And the emotional, stoic teenager that emerged as a 13-year-old, well, she turned into a pretty cheerful girl. And I'm proud of me for making that happen. Hopefully this little audio helped, either relaxing, sleeping, or perhaps playing a video game in the background. If you want more of these little ASMR videos, let me know. I'm sorry it took so long for me to make another one. Making a video every week on the main channel and then doing this as a side thing, it's a bit tricky. Don't tell my mod team, but I'm recording this on my break day. I didn't have much to do. My bad. Alright, well. Have a wonderful sleep, and thank you for listening to my little rambles. I know I got very off topic very quickly, but I think it helped. Not just the listeners, but me as well. I think I need to do this. Well, as always, stay hydrated and know you're valid. And if you're still awake, be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. There's the main channel, Fairy Princess Lucy, but then this is the side channel, Fairy Princess Lucy ASMR. So you're welcome to subscribe to both. On the main channel, I'm a bit louder and more extravagant. Algorithm likes that. Alright, I'll be off. Thank you for listening. And just know I'm proud of you, okay? Every step is still a step. You can't skip a step, but eventually you get up the little mountain of steps. I believe.